Well, Robert, I'd imagine the dressing room is a pretty happy place at the moment.
Yeah, certainly compared to maybe towards the World Cup period. But yeah, everyone's certainly more positive, and the vibe around the place is happy, and that can only encourage growth really, and hopefully we can keep going.
We always hear players talk about, keeping an even keel and those kind of things, and everybody's going to try and do that, but it's just human nature, isn't it? When results are going well, you're going to be a bit happier than you are when you're losing.
Yeah, well, that's just the nature of the game we play. When you lose, it can be a real low. You're really down, and when you win, you naturally get that high, and it's just about managing that really, and especially with the congestion that we have to deal with in this league. Games come thick and fast, so you can't really afford to be too high or too low, knowing that there's a game coming in a few days' time.
And is that something that you've got better at in the time that you've been with City, or certainly in your professional career? Because it's something I always think for young players, that must be a really tricky thing to get your head around.
Yeah, the more games you play, the better you get at it, and it can take longer for others, but ultimately it's something that young players like myself need to learn, and learn very quickly at this level.
And for you, having been out of the team for a little bit and now having a run of games, that's got to make you feel, that the work that you're doing to get back in the team is working.
Yeah, I just thought, just got to be positive really. Being out the team isn't, it's not ideal, but you can't moan about it. You can't be down. You can't be negative, because negativity can be infectious, and positivity is also infectious. So it's better to spread the better kind. So that's what I kind of aim to do. And then, when the opportunity was there, I made sure I gave it a right good go.
Well, you certainly have done that, and it's you've got to use those, because every professional footballer is going to have spells out of a team, aren't they? And it's how you respond to that, and what you do to try and improve your game and make sure when you do get that chance that you're not going to be left out again.
Exactly, and we've talked about things that players have to deal with, and that's another thing. Being left out the team for any reason, you've got to be ready for it, and when you are out the team, you've got to do everything you can to get back in the team, and that can come from improving yourself physically, technically, and mentally as well.
Are those all things that you've tried to sort of work on over the course of this season and before that, I'm sure?
Yeah, so anything I can control, I've tried to improve. So as I mentioned, whether that's in the gym, getting stronger, or technically working on something that you're not very good at, or improving your own strengths, and just better in the mind really, and trying to create that positive atmosphere for others and yourself.
It's certainly working at the moment. I mean, defensively, since it's gone to the four as well, the team's just looked better balanced. How does it look from the back where you are? You've been keeping a lot tighter at the other back than at times earlier in the season.
Yeah, to be fair, when I first came back in, we were still playing the back three, and I thought it was quite comfortable then as well. And I just thought the switch to the back four against Swansea, the first half was very tough, and then we made the switch at half time, and then it just awoke something in all of us almost, and then we've stuck with it since. And I've not played in the back four for since the start of last season really, so it's been a long time for quite a few of us, but with every game we play, we get that better understanding with each other, and I feel like already there is that kind of connection between the four of us. And also, we got Thomas, who's just come back from injury, who's pushing us and making us all better really. So yeah.
And whenever you get that sort of change in formation, it always means little changes to what you're doing. I think Zak certainly looks like he enjoys playing in a four, perhaps more than a three. How is it with you? Do you relish the extra responsibility, or does it mean that you've got to do slightly different things?
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, for me, I don't really have a preference. I don't mind either. I've played in both in my career so far, and I've enjoyed myself in both roles. You could argue that playing a back four, you have that one less man, so as you said, there's more responsibility. But I think when you got that extra man in midfield, it does help you defensively as well. winning those second balls and just winning that midfield battle. So yeah, there's certainly pros and cons to both.
Absolutely. Does it put it in the back of your mind, because one of your big strengths is your marauding runs forward? Always enjoy that. Do you have to sort of be thinking an extra layer of, okay, can I afford to take that chance with a 4?
I suppose you could say that. But, at Oxford, we played a 4, and I was very successful at that. I think it's just what the game demands, really. Game to game. For instance, that game against Preston was a very ugly and hard-fought win. It wasn't really, unless you're Alex Scott, it's not really the game to get it down and just start taking it past players. So, yeah, you just got to. The gaffer leaves it up to me, for me to make my own decision, whether I'll do it or not.
Which is it, and that's good because he's got the trust in you to do it. And you mentioned, Alex, do you ever just sort of stand there and watch and think, are you playing a different game to me?
Yeah, he's certainly special, and I'm glad. I'm glad he's on our team. Really, I'd hate to be those midfielders and defenders having to deal with him on a weekly basis. So yeah, I'm just happy that he's on our team.
I think you and the City fans, and this weekend, you would imagine it probably a different kind of game to Preston, Norwich. I mean, the game at their place was a fantastic match, and they will come and try and attack you, which generally leads to much more open games.
Yeah, they've obviously had a change of manager as well. I remember their game at that place. It was as you said, it was a fantastic game. We probably should have got something from the game, really. But yeah, it's a different proposition this time. Yeah, we've done some work on them and seen what they're about, and it should be, on paper anyway, a really, really exciting game. So let's hope for that.
Superb. Thank you, Rob.
No worries.
Rob, I'm not sure if you're aware, but just before this interview, I had a look, and you've won the second most aerial duels in the Championship. I guess the height comes down to that. Why, you're 6'4"?
Yeah. Well. Yeah, we'll go with that.
But how much does anticipation come into it as well, and does that come naturally, or is that something you've had to kind of...
What, in terms of reading the ball when it's in the air?
Knowing where you're going to be.
No, it's in some stadiums especially, it's so hard with how windy it is, and I think a big part of it is anticipation. You look at, obviously United have Martinez, who isn't the tallest, but he wins his fair share of headers. So I think anticipation is probably on par with that natural height, and also that jumping height as well. So I'd agree. Anticipation is important.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Martinez, but is there a player that you've kind of built your game on or watched over the years that you've wanted to learn on or progress?
When I was younger, I was a big fan of Yaya Toure, but obviously him not being a centre back, it's not very applicable to centre halves. Any sort of slowish centre, like Thiago Silva, for instance, he's not blessed. Well, obviously he's very old, so he's not going to be the quickest, but his reading of the game, and as we just talked about, anticipation, those sort of mental skills are something that I really admire.
The new signings, Cornick and Mehmeti, that have come in as a defender in training, what are they offering, and are they troubling you with their ability at the moment? What have you seen from them?
Yeah, I've actually been very impressed with both of them. Good signings, very different as well. H, obviously, he's played in the Champ, he's got the experience, and being the striker, I've probably come up against him a lot more than I have Anis. But yeah, I like what I've seen from the pair. They're good lads as well, which is probably the most important thing of all, really.
That time, small spell you had out the side around Christmas time, what was the message to you from Nigel at that period?
There was no direct message really, but I think the fact that I wasn't in the team was enough of a message, if you know what I mean. So it kind of just spurred me on to improve myself mentally and get into a better place, and I think I've reaped the rewards for it, to be honest. I think I'm a much better player from a mental standpoint than I was a few months ago. So yeah.
I was going to say, can you use that as a motivational tool to know that if the form does dip here and there, that he's not afraid to replace and chop and change that defence?
Yeah, exactly. But that's just football, really. Like, if you're not winning, then something's obviously not working, and you're not going to keep playing the same team if it's not working. So yeah, that's just part and parcel of football, really.
Just a word on Max O'Leary and his form recently, and how much confidence that's given the back line.
Yeah, I thought he was. I thought, especially at the weekend, he was incredible. I thought, some of those saves he made would just really take the pressure off you, and when he's coming out and claiming set pieces as well, it's just one of the best sights really as a centre half to see your keeper just come and claim it and take all the pressure off you. So he's been really, really good. Yeah.
Finally, from me, I know it's in a few weeks, but the Man City game, and I kind of look at your journey from Basingstoke and Eastleigh and to now, and does that kind of feel like a just reward for you that now you're going to be going up against Erling Haaland potentially?
Well, that's if he plays, yeah.
Yeah,
I suppose you could see it like that, but I'd like to think that there's plenty more to come. Really, it's not the end, and it'll be a good test, and to see where we're all at as a team. But yeah, I think all you can do really is just look forward to you're playing against, arguably one of the best teams in Europe, and you just got to enjoy it really, and just really soak in the day and just enjoy it. Yeah.
Rob, obviously your brief time in the under-21s, did you find that perhaps, obviously an experienced player like yourself, you played in League One and in the Championship, do you find yourself dropping in and perhaps being a leader with the younger players, or do you find yourself learning from the experience, obviously playing with players that perhaps haven't played as many games as yourself?
What you're on about when I was just for the Sheffield, because this season?
Yeah, just dropping into the under-20s, and also maybe if you played
when you drop down into the 21s, I'm 24 now, and I was the oldest player on the pitch, so I think naturally you have to have that sort of leadership, and it was definitely a weird experience really. I've never been the oldest on the football pitch before, and I used it as an opportunity to improve in that sort of area really, and talking, communication, leadership, and just helping the young lads out, and that turned out to be a good day really as well.
Your centre-back partner, Zak, has received a lot of plaudits recently, getting a lot of man of the match awards amongst the supporters. What works well with this partnership? Obviously, you've seen yourself and him in a back three, but in a back two. Is there any difference between your game and his game now that you're playing just as a two?
Zak's a really good player, and I'm glad fans are finally seeing that. He's deserved all the plaudits he's got this season. He's been fantastic since the start, and he makes my life easy. I know he's got, if I make a mistake, I know he's there to cover me, and likewise if he makes a mistake, I try and be around him and help him out. So there's that trust already, which is crucial for a blooming partnership. He's got a real natural gift of having that sort of distribution over long ranges, which is something that I've not quite got to grips yet. And but yeah, he's technically a bit smaller as well, so he covers that side, and then I'm taller, so I was aerially more dominant, and we complement each other quite well, I think.
One player that obviously was part of that back three was Cal Naismith. He obviously moved into a midfield. How much of a benefit was to learn from him? Obviously, it seems like he's a bit of a protector of the back of the defence now in that defensive midfield role.
Yeah, Nazy, I really enjoyed playing next to him as well. Even when he was at centre half, I thought he was doing really well. And then to go into centre mid and do this well is something to be jealous about. I've always dreamed of making that step up into midfield and doing it like that. But yeah, he's a credit to himself, and when times are tough, he gets going, and that's just an admirable trait really. It's something that anyone would want in a player. So yeah.
And he likened Alex Scott to when Grealish was in the Championship, and also Gerrard as well. Do you have that kind of feeling, or do you liken Alex to perhaps someone else that you've seen in your career as well?
Well, I didn't really watch Grealish much in the Championship, or I like to think he's his own player. Really, I think he offers different things to what Grealish offers. I'm really excited to see where his career goes. Really, I'll be following it for sure.
Thank you.
Hi Rob. Yeah, Andi Weimann made captain this week. How happy are you with that decision? What attributes sort of does he have that led to that choice?
I think it was the obvious one, really. As soon as Bent's left, it was kind of like, didn't even really need a vote, to be honest. It was already going to happen due to the fact that everyone kind of looks up to him, and he's had such a good career up until this point, and as I said, the obvious choice.
Great. This week against Norwich, I suppose you don't really need any extra motivation for a clean sheet, but you're without one in the league in 2023. How eager are you to get that over the line?
Clean sheet's always nice as a defender, but ultimately it doesn't really matter if you get a clean. As long as we win, that's all that matters. A clean sheet is sort of like a cherry on the top sort of thing. It's always nice and it looks good, but the 3 points would be much better.
Yeah, and you've touched on some of the sort of relationship with the younger lads already, especially with people like Sam Bell, Omar Taylor-Clark on the bench, Dylan Kadji. Do you feel any responsibility in helping those guys settle in and sort of develop in the first team?
Yeah, you have to, as a senior player, you have to take that responsibility and make sure you kind of do your best for the sake of their careers, really, and be the best person around them, role model, whether that's in the gym, on the pitches, or when we're playing at Ashton Gate. You've got to help them out. We were all that age at some point. And when I was that age, I try and be right now the person I'd have wanted to have as a role model when I was, their age. So, you got to give them the best chances possible, really, to improve and flourish in this environment. No worries.